Markey.
And I'm Andrew.
And this is the Happy Everly After podcast.
A few years ago, we went through something that completely shook our world. We lost our daughter, Everly Jo.
Since living every parent's worst nightmare, we are constantly trying to master the art of feeling joy and pain at the same time. On this podcast, we're going to cover everything from joy, pain, marriage, parenthood, how humor can help mend a broken heart, and everything in between.
So come join us on our journey. Okay, welcome.
Hello.
Yeah,
Hello.
You need to hold that, not me.
And welcome to the Happy Everly After podcast. Will you sit closer to me, though?
I mean, I'm just at a weird angle.
Will you just, snuggle me a little bit?
I can't get much closer.
Okay, so welcome to the Happy Everly After podcast. This is where we talk about being happy and sad at the same time because we are very happy and we have a beautiful life, but we've been through a lot and we feel sad too. Today is a very special day because what are we doing today?
An interview.
Yes.
First interview.
This is our first interview.
Yeah.
I'm so excited. People are probably getting a little sick of just us two.
Probably.
Yeah. Okay, so today, by popular demand, we are interviewing it's weird because we call you our surrogate, but it didn't work.
Yeah.
So you're our surrogate, our attempted surrogate.
Right.
Her name is Jessica.
Either.
And yeah, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Oh my goodness. There's a lot to tell. There's been a lot of things that have happened since our attempted surrogacies. I mean, we gave it a good shot. We did everything.
Absolutely.
But I am a single mom to 2 boys. They're 2 and 4. They're awesome. They're fantastic. I am an IV therapist right now and going to school to be a midwife one day. So I'm also a doula, placenta encapsulator. Birth is my life. Birth is my thing. Helping families is everything to me.
So cool.
So cool. And I feel like we have to address how we found you, how we,
Right.
yes, because it's so wild because everybody like with surrogacy, it's kind of like adoption. Like you can go through an agency, you can find, a friend of a friend or whatever. We met online.
Yeah, we met on Instagram.
Yep. Thank you. Instagram.
Yep.
It all started because a couple years ago I posted a Mother's Day post, and I did one for Urban, like a separate post, and I did one for Everly, and I did one for Van, and then I did one for my embryo babies that were on ice because we had done the first part of IVF, which is like getting my eggs out. And we have a whole episode of like our baby journey and stuff. You can go back and listen to that. But point of the story is Drew and I are able to have children. We have done it. We're able to get pregnant and I've never miscarried. We're good in that department. But my 3 C-sections, I did not heal great. And so I was told that I no longer have like a comfortable uterus to carry babies.
Boy, it would be dangerous.
Right, because it's not like big enough. Like it would just, the baby would grow and then I would
Bleed out and die. And the baby would die.
Yeah, that's what we were told.
No bueno.
From several doctors. So people are like, oh, go get a second opinion. And it's like, we have, definitely. And I didn't like that people were telling me that I couldn't have any more kids because don't tell me what to do. And so we got our eggs out and fertilized them. They became little embryos. They sat on ice and I posted on Instagram to my little embryo babies. I can't wait to meet you one day when we hopefully hire a surrogate soon. So then what happened?
Yeah, so that was like Mother's Day-ish, like May-ish. I remember I think because of Everly, I'd started following you or something, because I started off as a bereavement doula. So, like, loss is really close to me. And just everyone shares things. And so I think I'd found you through, like, a friend of a friend of a friend, right? And so I just started following you, and I saw that. And I remember distinctly, we were living in Washington. I had just had our second baby. And I was like, I will be their surrogate. I just remember, like, in my living room, I was like, I will be their surrogate one day. Don't know them, don't know how, I'll be their surrogate. And fast forward a couple months, I mean, I've got a newborn. We're now living in Idaho. I remember you guys posted for, like, Thanksgiving or Christmas. You did, like, another, like, hey, we're ready. We're going to hire a surrogate. These are the qualifications. These are what we're looking for. And I was like, I fit none of them.
None of them.
None of them.
Literally
I'm going to shoot
none.
my shot.
Yeah.
What were the things?
So I wanted our
Being a
surrogate
surrogate.
to have already been a surrogate before,
Yeah.
to live in Utah,
Like done having their own.
and done
Kids.
having their own kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
None of those things.
None of those things.
None of those things.
Which is just so funny because I did have a couple other people connect with us that fit most of those. But there was just something about, like, our connection and our
Yeah.
friendship. Also, like, you being in the industry and just, like, knowing so much. I'm just like, there is nobody who's going to, like, be better to carry our baby, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. So I just remember seeing that post and I was like, here's my chance. And I just DM'd you. I was like, you have a following, so I'm going to get buried in your, like, notifications. And I was like, I don't know. And later that day, you're like, hey, how's it going? Let's do this. Okay.
I'm like, can I give you my person's number? Like, my liaison at the fertility clinic. I was like, okay, can I, like, give her your information? Like, can I have your number? And, like, because they kind of, like, will field through and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I had to go through extensive testing. I remember I reached out to her and I was like, hey, I want to be a surrogate. I don't know the next steps. What do we do? And I ended up being on, like, a 2-hour phone call with her. And she just asked me rapid fire questions. And I was like, here is my entire life story. Here's all of my tests. Here's all of my pregnancy, like, everything. And she was like, okay, we think you're a good candidate. And I remember getting off of that phone call and just sitting there and sitting at my desk and just being like, what did I get myself into? But also so excited and like, this might actually happen.
Yeah.
It was such a good feeling.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think most people know like what goes into being a surrogate. Like, there's a lot of back stuff that happens too, like the medical records, but then like psych evaluations. We did psych evaluations. You did psych evaluation. Plus, your husband, at the time did a psych evaluation. Like, lots of stuff.
Yeah.
On the backside before
We
it
even
even started, really, before the journey.
And that's the type of stuff that costs thousands and thousands of dollars that people don't think about. They're like, oh, you just pay your surrogate, 20 or 30 grand. But like, no, like, we didn't even get that far.
No.
Like, and
Yeah.
we're egg retrieval, like everything. That's a question in there, is how much did everything cost? But we're probably, we guess around 80 grand. So yeah.
Easily.
Gross. Yeah,
Yeah.
gross. Okay, so anything else on that? Last question, because we can go into some of the
Yeah, we can go into
questions.
more questions.
Okay, so this one, it's funny, it's the first one. It says, what did your husband think about you being a surrogate?
Yeah, so I was married at the time. I am now divorced. I've been divorced almost a year and a half now. Life has just gotten better. It's so good now. It's so good now. At the time, I was a doula. I was already in birth work. He was supportive because it was an income. Things were, to my understanding, I was like, we have our problems, but everyone has problems. Like, we're going to work on it. I grew up LDS where, like, the woman sacrifices everything, mind, body, soul, for everything. And I was like, I just need to dig deeper and try harder, and it's fine. And I remember going
For
to
your
him.
marriage.
Yeah, for my
Yeah,
marriage.
yeah.
And I remember going to him and being like, hey, I would love to be a surrogate. We're not planning on any more kids at the moment. Like, we have 2 beautiful boys. My pregnancies are awesome. I would love, 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 love to give a family a baby. And I remember him sitting there and just being like, okay, that's new. And that was back in like May when I'd first seen that post. I was like, maybe we should do it. So I'd kind of like kept bringing it up for a couple months, and he was like, okay, like, I don't know what to tell you, kind of. And we'd had a couple conversations about it, and he was like, well, you'd get compensated, right? And I was like, yes, that's part of the thing. He was like, well, like, you do have good pregnancies. You do really good. Like, the last pregnancy was awesome. Like, with Milo, I went 39 weeks, had a 5-hour unmedicated labor, gave birth to him on my hands and knees and caught him. Like, turned around and was like, okay, let's go home. And he was like, I guess you can do this like really well. So like, sure. And so he was on board with it. He was like, yep, like, you do the thing. You got it. I'm here for it.
And let's get paid lots of money.
Let's get paid lots of money.
Didn't he,
Oh, it imploded at the end.
Oh no, it's just funny because he didn't he like go out and buy a motorcycle or something? He's like, we're gonna get paid soon.
Yeah.
And it's like,
yeah,
we're not there yet.
Yep. So we had discussed compensation. We kind of had our back and forth of how that was going to work, especially with an independent journey.
For sure.
And we finally like had figured out what felt good for both of us. And so we'd relayed that, and him and I were talking about that. My ex and I were talking about it. And he's like, awesome, we'll go 50-50. You get this chunk, I get this chunk. And I was like, hold up. You're telling me I have to go through IVF and a pregnancy, deal with you, 2 kids, birth, and you get 50% of this?
Right.
Hold the phone. Like, stop.
It's funny.
So we ended up like coming up with a different deal where it was like, it felt a little bit more fair to me and whatever. And I mean, you don't get paid as a surrogate until
You're
baby's
pregnant.
there.
Yeah.
Like, you're pregnant,
Yeah.
baby's there.
Because
like,
we were going to pay you monthly,
mm-hmm.
like the couple of thousands of dollars.
Throughout.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like, say if you miscarried at like 7 months or something, which is terrible. But
Right.
That was all in the paperwork, that you would still keep that money, like you're compensated
for your time and
throughout
energy.
your pregnancy. Yes. So if you're curious how that works.
Yeah. Yeah. So I remember having that conversation. We'd gone through lawyers. He had been very involved. I'd been very transparent. Like, this is how this works. And the next day he came home with a motorcycle. And I was like, excuse me, what? He's like, yeah, like, here it is. And I'm like, bro, where did you get the money? Like, what are you talking about? We have $0.
That's so funny.
And then the next day he came home with a new couch. And then the next day he came home with like an Xbox. And just like, it just kept going. And I was like looking, and I didn't have access to our bank account actually. Like, he had cut me off of fully seeing it. I could see like what I was doing, but I couldn't see what he was doing. And so I truly didn't know like how bad the situation was.
Dang. Because when you're in it.
Yeah, you're in it,
know.
you don't know.
Yeah.
So like, again, a lot of people asked me, a lot of people at the end, they were like, you shouldn't have gotten divorced. You wrecked your life. You wrecked the Ostler's life. Like, what are you doing?
People have said that to you?
My DMs, I had to get off of social media. I was getting threats.
Because of people that follow us?
I assume so.
That makes me freaking pissed.
Yeah, I was getting, at the end, threatened and told that I should stop killing your babies. Like, people were coming to me telling me that.
Wow.
I do not condone that, and I think that's crap. You guys, like, are you serious?
Yeah.
I apologize.
So I
on their
definitely,
behalf.
after that, social media and I, we had a good talk, and we've had some boundaries since then. And I am not a stranger to hate speech and people being super rude about this to me. So it is what it is. It does come with the territory. And it's one of those things where like, you just try to let it roll off your shoulders because they're projecting, and this is more about them than you, because they're not in the situation. They don't know what happened. But going back with all the finances, I was like, hey, we don't get anything, like reiterated like what was going on. And he was like, oh yeah, but like, you'll get paid. not how this works, buddy. Like, I'm the person where I'm like, I don't see it and I don't believe it till I see it. And so I had a list. I had Word docs of like what would be nice for our life, what kind of vacation we should do as a family. Like literally on it was like, we should get like peppermint essential oils. Like I am such a penny pincher that I was like, once we see that paycheck, then I'm going to go out and buy my kids a stroller. Like it was to that point. And he was just coming home with a $6,000 motorcycle. And I'm like, I don't know what to do with this.
Gosh.
So yeah, that was a lot. That was a lot to deal with. And that was kind of my first, like, maybe things aren't what I think it is. So.
And you're so young too.
Yeah, I was 23.
How old are you? Yeah.
I was 23 when that happened. I'm 24 now.
Like, dang.
Crazy.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Next question. I assume, well, this could be for all of us, but it's, do you think that the embryos have souls? Like, are they people?
I think that really is a tricky, nuanced question.
For sure.
I feel like.
As the mother, I'll answer this first. Mm-hmm. I do mourn those embryos, but not, like, I can't even articulate it. I mourn them, but not like I mourn Everly. Mm-hmm. Like, so then it's like, well, do I believe that they were like, that's like a little human that, I don't know. It's just like you mourn,
Potential to be
right, but you mourn the loss of
What
like
could have
what
been.
could have been, for sure. And so I think that I'm okay with like not really knowing, but I definitely don't like grieve them like I grieve Everly.
Right. Yeah, no, I think that's very like valid, and I feel like I agree with that. I feel like it definitely comes down to like what you believe in your personal preferences and things like that. For me, it's a weird place to lose a baby that was never yours.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah.
And like going through that process of, I wanted to, this should have worked. What happened? What are they experiencing? Did my body fail? Like all of the questions that you're just sitting there and you have to ask yourself and you have to face. And it really does come down to like what could have been and what you had planned for your life and what you'd wanted it to be. And I think that was like the really hard part of it.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's a personal question for people.
For sure.
If it is,
A human or not? Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so this question, we already kind of talked about it, but how did you pay her? Okay, so we kind of talked about that. Like, yeah, we paid for lawyers and stuff, but no, like, I wanted to say that a lot of the times I would just Venmo her. Like, she would, like, send me pictures of receipts. Like, you guys, we're talking gas money to do her blood draws. We're talking hotel visits, Airbnbs. We're talking, like, every single thing was out of our pocket because it was our baby. So, like, just picture it being me, having the baby in me. It would cost me gas money to get to my doctor's appointment. Same for her. And so we were constantly making those transfers. Mm-hmm. We did have a lawyer that like helped us out with the big stuff.
Well, that was all included. All the money went to escrow account.
The big stuff. Yeah. But like gas money and stuff, we just did it. Yeah.
And I think that's like the difference between an independent journey and like through an agency.
Yeah.
Because independent is like what's going to work best for us.
For sure.
And an agency is like ABC.
Right.
This is how it goes.
And like we were friends.
Yeah.
We talked every day. And it's like, yeah, talk to my lawyer to get your money. It's like, no.
Yeah.
Like you can just send me a picture of your receipt and I'll.
Like when I was going through my divorce, you were the first person I called and I sobbed to you.
Yeah, for sure.
I remember that.
Mm-hmm. I was at the park.
Yeah.
We were at the park with the boys.
And I was at like the library in my car sobbing. And I just remember being like, I have to call Marky right now. because like that's the friendship that we had.
Yeah, for
It
sure.
was honestly like, as much as you guys thanked me for like what I was doing, I can't thank you guys for like being in my life that year. We should have gotten Kleenexes.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Well, I mean, to clear the air, like that all happened after
For
the
sure.
failed attempts, right? So people on social
No.
media.
So yes and no.
Yeah.
Her divorce
Started
started during the process
Of our
We had to
second
get-
transfer.
Yeah, we had to get
But that
our
didn't
lawyers.
have any effect on the
Why?
transfers.
Oh no.
It didn't have any effect on the transfers or any effect of like why I wanted to be a surrogate or anything
Yeah,
like
for
that.
sure.
Oh yeah.
If anything, it was just you, just making your life a little bit easier.
Yeah.
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 Okay, so that's a little bit about that. How much did it cost? Again, we're probably like 80 grand. And we were going to pay you 25 or 30.
25, but then on top of it, like you guys were gonna obviously like pay all my lawyer fees. You guys were gonna
Yes.
compensate me, reimburse me for stuff.
But you were going to profit.
Yeah, I was gonna profit about 25.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is actually very affordable because normally it's a lot more
Hard
than
thing
that.
with surrogacy is there's not like a certain number. It's all kind of like up in the air.
Because it's like relationships
Yeah.
or like my sister wants to do it for me.
Like, our lawyer told us that he had done one for someone else, and all they did was pay for like a cruise for.
Yeah.
for
Or
the
like a
person
boob
after
job,
the fact.
like a
And I
mommy
was like, wait,
makeover.
this is crazy.
After you have our baby, I'll pay for your mommy makeover.
Yeah, so it's all like way up in the air when you're talking about like pay. Because I get asked that question by people too, like how much does it cost to do surrogacy, and it's like I don't know, like
Yeah.
Yeah.
throw a number out there.
It's whatever you decide.
Yeah.
Okay, so this one says, how have you been able to cope with your experience, and are you doing okay? You go.
Oh, okay. It's like, I'm good now. It took time. It took a lot of time. I think for me, my training in bereavement and loss really helped.
Yeah, for sure.
If I didn't know how to grieve healthily, I think I would have gone a little crazy.
Yeah.
Like, not gonna lie. Because also like during this time, my marriage started to unravel quickly. And during this time, our first transfer ended in a chemical pregnancy. I remember getting my first like positive and just being excited and nervous and like, am I seeing this right? And then ended up losing that baby, and the devastation and just wanting somebody to help me through it, and having to go to my car and cry about it by myself. And that was hard. My sisters came in and they like got me cookies. They helped watch my kids. They like gave me heating pads for a miscarriage, like all the things, while my ex disassociated and did what he needed to do, I guess. And so that on top of losing someone else's baby was so hard.
Yeah.
And then back to back, losing another one, and just sitting there and kind of like we said, just can my body do this? Am I cut out for this? People telling me that I'm killing babies, people telling me that I need to stop, that I'm ruining my life, I'm ruining your guys' life. And I'm just sitting there like, maybe that's true. I don't know. And going through moving and just everything in my life just being upset and not having a home base or stability. It took a long time to bounce back, but I feel like I am a really out loud processor, and like the people who have been in my life since this has happened have like been the perfect people for me.
For sure.
Yeah.
I say that when it comes to Everly too. I'm like, I much rather her be here, but because she's not here, I've made like so many amazing connections and friendships and anyways, so I totally feel that.
Yeah. So it took time, but I feel at peace with it now.
Good. I feel like I'm still bitter. Would you say I'm still kind of bitter?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Of course.
I just am like, it's just one of those things where you throw your hands up and just say, you can't say we didn't do everything. You can't say we didn't try. Like, we literally did everything we could to grow our family in every single way. And it just hasn't happened. And now I'm getting to a point where, I mean, I'm not getting there. I feel like I am like done having kids. We still have one more embryo on ice, but I'm like not hopeful for that to work out just because she's the least healthy out of the 3 that we had. And so I'm just like, like, whatever. I freaking tried. So like, what can you do? And I feel like that's pretty normal in a grieving process. So we're a year or so out, and it's like, I'm still in that process and bitter.
Yeah. For me, I'm like way different than, because I'm a guy, and guys will maybe understand where I'm coming from. Maybe the women won't, but like, even when you were pregnant, like, and you'd be like, oh, feel my belly, like Urban's like kicking in my belly. It's like, oh, cool. But it didn't like really register, like, it's like, oh.
And
like,
I was like,
was
why
okay,
don't you
cool.
like sing to my belly and read my belly books? Like, how dare you? Like,
So,
but yeah,
for me,
it just
like,
wasn't super real.
It wasn't, even with our own kids, it wasn't like real until like they were actually born and I was like holding them in my arms. So with these, it was kind of the same way. I was like, it didn't really register yet for me because I wasn't really like, yeah. I didn't really have to do much on my end. You know what I mean?
Just jizz in a cup.
Yeah, super hard.
That's what she said. Okay, so what is next? Okay, this one is, what was your biggest excitement and your biggest fear going into surrogacy?
You guys start with that one.
I would say my biggest excitement was just like having more little blonde babies, because we also like were home study approved to adopt, and we've like done all the routes, and I'm like, oh, I'm just like so open to like our family is gonna be like, you know, all shapes and sizes, and like we're just gonna, you know, whatever. And then I was like, I am so excited to have like another one of our bio babies, you know. I think I was scared of it not working.
I mean,
You know?
a natural thing to be scared about.
Yeah. What about you?
Yeah, I'd say the same thing. Like, it's exciting to think that your family's gonna grow, even when the odds are stacked against you. But yeah, I'd say my biggest fear was probably the same thing, which, like, if you've never done it before, then that's pretty valid to fear.
For sure.
Yeah. My biggest excitement was going to be the look on your face when I handed you a baby.
Oh my gosh. I pictured it so many freaking times. Yeah.
I was so excited. I know, like, we had talked about like who was going to be there, what we were going to do, all of the plans, and I was just so excited to like be like, here you go.
Right.
Here you go.
And this is what we were going to do. We decided that I would catch the baby, but then I was going to let Jess
Put on my chest.
Yeah, do skin to skin.
Yep.
Just for that rush of hormones.
Closure.
I love you. So nice to meet you. Goodbye. You know, that
Here's your
type of
mom.
thing. Yes. So yeah, those are all things that you talk about with your potential surrogate, that it's like, what's going to happen? What's it going to look like, you know? So yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
go on.
No, that was 100% what I was so excited for. And I still like dream about that day one day. And my biggest fear was, one, like it not working. And then 2, what if we had an emergency? Like, can my body, like, would I be okay with a C-section? Would I be okay? Because in our like legal lawyer stuff, they're like, okay, if you lose your uterus,
Right.
If
How
you
much will we
lose-
compensate her?
right? If you lose your ovaries,
if you lose your life,
if I
we
die,
would pay her boys this much and like stuff
Yeah.
like that. It's all in the paperwork, y'all.
yeah.
Like it's
so that
very
it was
detailed.
so detailed that I was like, holy shoot. Like, I mean, the United States has a really high maternal mortality rate. It's ridiculous. But you don't think about that because we're in a developed country. We're like, it doesn't happen. I've seen it happen. I've had clients pass away on me. And so I just started thinking about that. And I was like, oh, shoot, this is like my mortality and I have children. And like, okay. But again, like I'm healthy. Like it shouldn't, like I'll be fine. But what if? So that was
Totally.
like the fear.
Yeah.
But other than that, I was like just so excited.
Yeah, for sure. That makes sense. I didn't think of it like that. So, yeah, it's interesting to hear your perspective of that. Okay, so have you attempted surrogacy with anybody else?
Yes and no.
Okay.
So we broke our match after our second transfer failed. And that was back in July, like August last year. I did get reached out to by like a headhunter agency and they were like, hey, we would love you. And I, at that point, it was like in January and I was like, I am really unstable. Like I need to get my life a little bit together. I would love to do this, but I don't know if I can. In February, I had a family reach out and they kind of the same circumstance, like they had had their own bio kids. They were super sweet. They took me out to like dinner. They're like, let's see if we'd be a good fit. I loved them. I honestly like
Where are they from?
Saratoga Springs. So like
nice.
where I live.
Yeah.
And I loved them. And I haven't met a family that I haven't loved though, you know? And so, we decided to match. We decided like, yeah, we should go forward with it. This was back in February. And then about 2 weeks later, I was talking to them. I was just about ready to like start meds, like birth control. And they were like, actually, our cousin said that she was going to carry for free. So we're going to pivot and go that route.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, that's totally fine. Like
Yeah.
that, I'm so happy for you. And I hope that you get your baby.
For sure.
And it's obviously not my journey to take.
Yeah.
So there's been a couple. I actually ended up in, I want to say June, feeling like in a place that I could be able to, because it's a bucket list thing for me. Like
Yeah.
it's just such an awesome, cool thing. And I actually ended up reaching out to a couple agencies and just interviewing with them and being like, what's this about? I did independent last time. Am I even qualified a candidate because this is my experience? They all actually ended up taking me and I got to pick. And I have worked with an agency for a couple months and I did end up matching with somebody, I want to say September. We matched. And then after that, their side, because it was through an agency, their side decided to tell them, hey, she's tried to be a surrogate before, it didn't work out. The family had no idea and I didn't know that. And so they were like, we're going to break our match. Like we pull out just immediately. And
If they only knew
yeah, even though,
circumstances.
yep, even though like my medical records all show that I'm healthy and I can do this, like they were just like, we can't, we're washing our hands. So,
And just so we're very, very clear, and we won't go into too much detail because there's some investigating that needs to be done, but the embryos not working had nothing to do with Jessica. Nothing.
yeah.
And like so to hear like people judging you or coming after you for like killing our babies and stuff, like that makes me sick because literally it was not her fault either time, 2 times.
Yeah.
And the circumstances, like I said, maybe we'll go into it at a later time, but neither time was because of you and your body.
Yeah. I
Go
think
on.
that gave me a lot of closure knowing it wasn't
For
me.
sure.
But yeah, so then after that, I've kind of been like, well, if it happens, it happens. Like, that'd be cool. But I'm not going to force something. I'm not going to push anything because the right place, right time, like the right person, the right family is going to find me. And about a week ago, actually, I had a different person from an agency that I'd kind of talked to. She was like, I have a couple you would love. And I was like, shoot, send them over. Okay, what can they say? No?
Right.
And so we actually ended up on a Zoom conference with them, and they're from Paris. They live in Paris.
Oh, wow.
They are the sweetest people, and they ended up sleeping on
Can
it.
I go with you to meet them?
Actually, they're going to come
go.
here.
No, let's go there.
Yeah, so we should all take a trip.
Okay,
I got my
deal.
passport this year.
Nice.
We should do it. And they're coming to Boise in December to make their embryos.
Wow.
They matched with me, and hopefully in the near future it'll happen.
Wait, so
That's
would you have
amazing.
the baby here and then
I'd have the baby here, and they'd come here.
Wow, that's crazy.
They'd stay for a while, wait for baby to get the all clear, and go home.
Wow.
So
Crazy.
yeah, and then they really wanted like an open, like, let me know, get me updates of baby and all that kind of stuff. So I was like,
Love
I'll
that.
see you in Paris. Like,
Yeah, for real.
sounds good. Again though, like, I'm to the point where I'm like not holding my breath over anything.
Yeah.
If it's supposed to happen, it's gonna happen. But it would just be so exciting.
Totally.
So we'll see. We'll
Love
see what
that.
happens.
Love that for you. Seriously. Okay, well, that's basically the end of the questions, but I wanted to tell you guys that I got a lot of people saying, good luck. I'm rooting for you. Good luck. And
we
so I
fighting?
just wanted to be very clear that this is talking about our past situations. We still have that one embryo left, but we are not ready. I'm not ready to even go near it, even though we get the bill for it every month. And I'm like, you freaking son of a gun. Costing me $1 zillion just to sit there in a freaking freezer. So anyways, thank you all for your well wishes and wishing us all good luck. So yeah, any other thoughts? Is there any other thing that we need to go over?
I wrote some notes, so
Yeah.
maybe, because I'm type A crazy lady.
Your handwriting is so pretty.
Thanks. It's a mess.
I love it.
Let's see. I think we covered a ton of it. I just basically like wrote out a timeline, so I was like, could like keep my thoughts together, because it's happened some time ago. Life was so crazy for the both of us. You
For
guys were in
sure.
Ohio, like super crazy
Yeah.
stuff happening. Honestly though, like I just, with so many people and like my DMs and how things were, I wanted it to work so badly.
Yeah, I know you did.
Like, there is not a time, like a day that goes by that I'm like, I wish I could have given them their baby.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of people were like, oh, like, you got paid XYZ and you didn't have to like go through labor. And I'm like, no, that's like literally not what I wanted.
Yeah, no.
And just like the grace that you guys had through the whole process, like the absolute, like, just love from you
Yeah.
guys. It was
Well,
such a good experience.
I mean, you're saying like we were graceful and so nice and stuff, but you were the one who was going to cook our baby for us. Like,
happily.
yes. And it's like happily, and you're a stranger we met on the internet. Like, and so it's like, it's just, that's like beautiful. And that's, you're just so, I literally said all the time that she's a surrogate unicorn. Like, she just came from the clouds and she's just like, hi, here, I'm perfect, and place your baby in me. What's that off of? Baby Mama.
Baby Mama?
Yeah.
Oh, I felt like Baby Mama.
Yeah,
a little
for
bit.
sure.
It was a good time.
That's a good movie. Y'all should watch that.
Yeah.
So yeah, thank you so much. Like, I literally like love you like you're my cousin. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just like, I really do. And
Yeah.
so, and we got to know each other so much throughout that entire process. It was a year of
Constant communication.
yes.
Yeah.
And so we like don't talk as often anymore, which sucks, but I feel like we need to change that.
I live like 20 minutes away
I
now.
know. It's
Instead of like
amazing.
5 hours.
I know. I love it. I know.
Yeah.
So yeah, thank you so much for
Yeah.
everything. And thanks for being here.
Of course. Yeah. I think like the last thing that like I want to say, like, I remember having to, I guess I didn't have to, but I called you to be like, hey, it didn't work, or I'm so sorry. And I just remember you being like, you've done so much. I wish I could do like this part.
Yeah.
And like
the miscarriage.
like the
and
actual,
stuff,
yeah, the miscarriage. And like, up to that point, I've never miscarried, so I didn't know what that would feel like. And I just, for me, like, it was the last thing I could do for you.
Yeah.
And I was just so happy to do that.
Yeah. And like, I felt so far like removed because I couldn't do any of the physical stuff. Like,
Yeah.
I wish I could. Like, I wish I wanted it to like hurt worse. Like, I wanted that like physical pain
Right.
along with the heartbreaking news. But you've said that those babies felt nothing but love the entire time.
Oh, yeah.
You know, they were with you, and I believe that wholeheartedly.
Yeah.
So,
Those babies were so loved.
yeah, for sure.
And like, it's the least I could have done. And I'm so grateful I could do it for you guys.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
Yeah.
We love you. Thanks for everything.
Of course. Thank you guys.
My Zoloft doesn't let me cry, or else
Oh
I'd
my
be
gosh.
crying
I
right
am got a lot of emotions. I just feel big.
Okay, well, thank you so much for being here. I think that you should come back because I feel like there's still so much.
We could talk about a lot of things.
Seriously, so much. And so please come back anytime.
I'd love to.
Okay.
Love to.
Well, thank you so much for listening to the Happy Everly After podcast. Please like share this episode, especially to like haters that like send nice people rude messages, because that's dumb. Send this to them so that maybe their souls and their hearts can be like softened and they don't have to be such freaking D-bags online. Thank you. Okay. Thank you all. Have a great day.